Hello listeners. Welcome back to Storytime FM. Today we are looking through r/AskReddit. What's the most fucked up thing you did in a sleepover? Let's jump right in. Played with matches. For years afterward thought I'd burned my aunt and uncle's house down. I was staying with them, my cousin and I were lighting matches in the kitchen and throwing them in the sink to put them out. The head of one flew off and landed in the shelving unit by the sink. Still smoking, but when we looked for it, we couldn't find it. It was the 80s, so all those "kids, don't play with matches" ads were everywhere. Hours later we were awakened by my aunt telling us to get out of the house because it was on fire. Watched their house burn to the ground and was terrified to tell them what we'd been doing earlier. I just knew we'd done it. Carried that guilt for years. When I was around 15-ish, which was many years later, I finally told my aunt. She started laughing and after realizing I'd been thinking this the whole time, hugged me and explained it had been wiring in the back bedroom. I was an adult before I finally understood, after learning about how fire marshals investigate fires, that it wasn't just an assumption they'd made and could let go of that guilt. So I guess, technically, the most screwed up thing I did on a sleepover was traumatize myself for years. Let's see what other comments there are. We had a co-ed church group sleepover at a Vermont farm. I was 13 and recently got a fake testicle. I had my other testicle removed due to an accident. I was getting people to feel my balls and take bets on which one was the real one. We were all like 9 or 10-year-old girls and everyone else had fallen asleep except for me. So I decided I would play a prank on them. I got up and shook a good amount of black pepper into my hand and went to several of the girls and held it under their noses. What I was thinking would happen was they would wake up sneezing and be like, "Hey." That was silly. But instead they ended up waking up crying because they inhaled pepper, and turns out black pepper being inhaled into a sensitive orifice can really fucking sting. The girls cried so hard that my parents woke up and I had to explain the whole innocent idea behind my scheme. I felt so bad, sad face. So my house never had junk food when I was little, and when I slept over my friend's house I ate an entire Chips Ahoy container while everyone was asleep and then put the container under her little sister's bed, who then got blamed for it and in trouble. I pissed on the air mattress and my friend's mom asked if a raccoon broke in. Here are some more comments I found. Got a bloody nose. It was dark and I didn't know the house, so I stuck near the walls and went down the hallway and found the bathroom. Got the bleeding to stop, cleaned up, went back to sleep. In the morning, the mom came in frantic, making sure everyone was alive after she saw smeared, bloody handprints all the way down the hallway. I got my first period at a sleepover, and lucky for me the first year of periods came with wicked vomiting and diarrhea. So in the middle of the night, right after everyone fell asleep, I destroyed my friend's bathroom with a volcanic amount of diarrhea. Then, on my way back to the living room where 5 pre-teen girls were crammed, I proceeded to vomit directly between 2 girls sleeping. I had to ask the mom for help with cleaning up the mess. In Boy Scouts, I was the morning cook, meaning I woke up before anyone else to chop wood, make fire, and get water boiling. I grabbed the hatchet and start splitting a log into little splinters for kindling. It was cold and dewy. The hatchet slipped from my hand mid-upward swing and went flying to the tent circle. It seriously flew 10 to 15 yards and fell straight down the roof of a tent, where 4 scouts were sound asleep. I'm not sure how long I waited to hear someone start screaming. I probably sat there in terrified anticipation for over a minute. Then I was worried someone might be hurt, so I crawled over to that tent where the hatchet landed. I super quietly unzipped the flap, and saw it landed in a bag of clothes very close to some kid's head. I snuck in, grabbed the hatchet, left the tent, zipped it back up, and finished breakfast. I heard them at breakfast complaining that, the raccoons has ruined their perfectly nice tent by clawing a hole in it. Walked home while everyone was asleep. Didn't tell my friend. Didn't tell their parents. Didn't tell my parents. Just crawled out a window at my friend's house and crawled in a window at my own. Went to bed. Not a single person looked for me in the morning. Let's see what some other people wrote. More embarrassing than fucked up. Accidentally clogged the toilet at friend X's house. There was no plunger and the toilet was filling rapidly. I panicked and ran to my friend, who promptly called for his dad. His dad takes one look and yells from the bathroom, "Jesus, X. How big of a shit did you take?" It took years before I went back to his house. My friend had just gotten the internet, so we spent all night trying to look up porn of the Spice Girls. That should give you a rough idea of when this happened. I don't remember what we were looking for, but me and another friend went through our buddy's parents' bedroom drawers and found a VHS tape. We were curious and idiotic, so we popped the tape in to see what was on it. Our buddy walked in while we were watching his parents have sex. His scream was the most shocking, horrifying thing I have heard to this day. I bathed my friend. 2 of us stayed at a friend's house in our early teens. We raided their parents' liquor cabinet and proceeded to not understand how alcohol works. We drank every kind of liquor under the sun, very quickly, over the course of a few hours. We chased shots with popsicles and ate animal crackers to get the taste of gin out of our mouths. One of the 3 of us stood atop a small staircase into the living room. Maybe 4 steps, a few feet in distance. He swayed, grabbed onto the railing, turned pale and then projectile vomited so violently that it all landed and splashed at the bottom of the staircase, leaving the steps clear, minus a few drops. He then immediately fell down the stairs and began to laugh in a pool of his own vomit. We picked him up, dragged him to the bathroom, stripped off all his clothes and shoved him in the shower. He had thick curly hair that was filled with bright red popsicle-colored animal cracker paste. I told him to put out his hands as he kept yelling to not tell everyone he had a small dick. Once he finally complied, I poured shampoo in his hands and told him to clean his hair. He slapped it all into his face, causing him to gag and his eyes to burn. At this point I had to get him cleaned up. So I did. We had no spare clothes for him barring our friend's brother's clothes. He was quite obese. We had to get a belt and tightly tie what I can only describe as parachute shorts around his waist. We went to sleep afterwards and convinced ourselves no one in the house heard us. If this story is believed to be untrue, the reason I remember it so well is because that friend shouting about his dick had a bigger dick than me, and you never forget finding out your dick is small. Here are some more comments I found. Was like 12 and we were on a trampoline flashing people driving by, we thought we were sexy shit. At 12 surprised we didn't get kidnapped by a predator. Edit dang, this blew up. So more details about the night. We crank called people telling them their order of like 1,000 dildos was ready or something amazingly stupid like that. We blocked our return ID, but the one time we didn't, a guy called back a few moments later absolutely furious, telling us he hadn't ordered those and demanding who we were. We slept on that same trampoline with some pillows and blankets and had some late night confessions, me and 2 other girls. They'd both been sawed already, at 12. I don't remember details and I wouldn't tell him anyway. I hadn't and I felt so bad for them. Wondered how the world was like that already. Also scared for myself, pretty sure I pissed myself laughing like, twice. It was truly a carefree day despite the horrendous decisions we were making with the flashing and crank calls. LMFAO. They were good friends. I hope they're doing well. Was pretty young, but I shit myself while I was sleeping and hid the underwear under my homie's bed. Couldn't find bathroom. Peed in cat's litter box. Friend's mom. Thought cat was sick. OMG, thank for all the karma heart. I had no idea there was a, once I used a litter box, community out there. For years I thought it was my dirty little secret, rolling on the floor laughing. One of my buddies in high school would bully me all the time and he treated me like shit when I was staying over his house with other friends. One time he told me to go get him a glass of water, so I went upstairs, poured him a glass of water, dipped my nuts in it for a few seconds, then gave it to him. Let's look at some more comments. This is not the weirdest thing, but something that has always stuck out to me. Had a girl tell me that she knew someone who masturbated by holding themselves up at the top of a door and basically doing pull-ups against the door to get off. She even demonstrated it for me. Then she took a very long shower, with a detachable showerhead. She came out silent and out of it for a bit. It didn't occur to me until a few years later that she had the most defined arms out of anyone I knew at the time who was our age. I remember thinking that was weird since she played soccer but her upper body was ripped. Also, no one would make that up and say it was their friend because it was so strange, and she was waaayyy too good at it. I tried after her thinking, sweet, a new way to get off, but I could only raise my body a few times. Anyways, girl got off from the corner of her closet door by doing pull-ups. Watched The Exorcist when I was way too young. Scared the crap out of me. So pussied out and went downstairs and watched Piranha with his mum instead. We found Kraft singles in the fridge and put one over the nose and mouth of a friend of ours who fell asleep on the couch before everyone else. It immediately softened and molded into a cheesy seal over his face, and he stopped breathing. We all freaked out for a solid 10 seconds, very quietly, until we heard him make a chewing sound. Motherfucker smelled cheese and took immediate action despite being unable to breathe, and just straight up ate a mouth-sized hole into the single unconsciously. We then proceeded to plaster the entire package onto his face one at a time and watch him hoover up the cheese slices in order to not die. I peed on my friend's couch during a sleepover. I was 10, kinda old to pee the bed, I know. I woke up in a panic of course, but discovered the couch cushions weren't sewed to the couch and they were identical on both sides. So I flipped that shit, changed into a spare pair of shorts, and went to sleep. A year later, while I was at that friend's house, his mom discovered my huge, yellow piss stain on the bottom of a couch cushion. Of course she didn't suspect me. My friend's little sister took the heat. It was me, Mrs. Schofield. I pissed on your couch and let it soak for a year. Edit. Holy shit, this got more attention than I anticipated. Edit 2. Some have suggested that maybe she discovered the stain intentionally while I was there as a way to either call me out or give me a chance to admit it. Doubtful. I was over at this friend's house a lot. Like at least 36 times in between the day I peed on his couch and the day his mom discovered it. The only reason they found it was because they were rearranging living room furniture and were considering trashing the couch, and I happened to be visiting the same day. Let's see what other comments there are. Was at a sleepover. My buddy slept on his couch, I slept on his beanbag chair with a blanket. After hours of playing 007 GoldenEye. I get up and go use their restroom, except I didn't. I only dreamed I did and I pissed all over myself at like 4 a.m. I hid the blanket in their jacket closet. It was summertime. And threw the beanbag chair and my pissy underpants in their outdoors dumpster. They lived on a ranch. I was 14 at the time. Lol. I had a sleepover at a friend's house. Pre-teen boys, so we were stuffed in one little bed. I got a nosebleed, but slept through it for about an hour. I noticed eventually and got up to tend to it. My friend woke up while I was in the bathroom to what looked like a scene from a horror movie. I did not get a second sleepover. Played Bomberman 64, ate pizza bites and drank Sprite, then shit my britches at my friend's grandparents' nursing home. The sleepover was cancelled. Tried to drink straight from a bottle of Jim Beam, instantly threw up all over my friend's table. Let's take a look at some other comments. I ate a really big burrito and farted the most vile farts all night. Out of embarrassment I pretended to be asleep to avoid the shame. So, I have a history of sleep-talking, walking issues, and they're especially heightened when I'm stressed. I don't like being away from home, so sleepovers are a recipe for disaster for me. Lo and behold, I woke up one morning after my first sleepover to the horrifying news from my friend that I started sleepwalking, yelled, "Karate chop," over and over and proceeded to ruthlessly swing my arms into my friend's stomach, effectively waking her up out of dead sleep. We were 8. This was the first time I slept over her house, and I had never told her about my sleepwalking problems. She still makes fun of me about it to this day. When I was a stupid kid, I got invited for a sleepover. It was a few of us and we would be going paintballing the next day, through generosity of the host and his parents. Now I knew most them from my school but was really only good friends with one, and he had suggested they invite me as he knows I like to paint ball. In the nighttime when we were all in the living room being loud and dumb kids, I stupidly said, the host name, was probably upstairs fucking his mom. Everyone bust out into laughter. Well, I said it loud enough that they heard upstairs as well, and his mom wasn't very happy. The next day it was brought up and they completely blamed the wrong person. I never said a word about how it was me. That was maybe 10 or 11 years ago and I still think about it lol. It was so rude and unnecessary. I wish someone had ousted me, but you live and you learn. Was probably in like 6th grade maybe? Buddy of mine had a birthday sleepover. Had a super cool basement with pool and GameCube and a mini fridge. Dope parents who bought us pizza and all that. It was about like 15 of us spending the night. At some point around like 2 a.m. someone wanted to play Mario Kart and all you heard was a big crash and suddenly a very faint, I think I just spilled orange soda on the GameCube. Cue a faint bzzzt sound and yeah, GameCube was fucked. Buddy's parents were not happy. Pretty sure that was the last big sleepover like that. Here are some more comments I found. Went down to Florida with a gay friend to visit a mutual female friend. We all slept in the same bed, and at some point during the night, they decided they wanted to see if they could have sex. Gay friend tried, but he couldn't get hard since he had no attraction to her. I laid there and stared at the ceiling thinking, this is kinda awkward. Wish I could sleep. Was sleeping on the floor while my buddy slept on the bed. I decided to masturbate for some damn reason. I really hope he was asleep. I cringe every fucking time I think about it. Group masturbation. My friend forced me to watch a guy being fucked by a horse, so I threw up all over her white couches. Edit. Damn, I didn't think this would blow up lol. Thanks for my first award. Heart. Let's take a look at some other comments. I jumped out the window to a mattress below for some money. I slept there with the blanket because they did not let me back in. It was winter and I thought I'd freeze to death. Looks like that is all we have for today. Come back tomorrow for some more comments. In the meantime, leave a comment with your stories and thoughts below. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed and want to see more. Until next time, listeners.